I was born and raised in LA. I was raised in Watts, single mom. If anybody knows what Watts is, it's a place where only the strong survive, and my mom is the strongest person that I've ever been around. Single mom, um, at a time where things are a little bit crazy now. It's different, but you had the drug, the crack epidemic that was ravishing Los Angeles. You had the effects of that, um, and so for me growing up, sports was the way for me to experience things and do things. Um, and then my coaches were my father figures, right? So growing up without growing up without a dad, having a single mom, my coaches were the people that looked out for me, taught me right from wrong, the ins and outs and stuff. Now, my mom was great; she was big time. But obviously, she's working, single mom, working jobs, two jobs for us to get to where she wanted us and where she wanted me, the opportunities that I could get in life, right? And so my coaches were my they were my dudes, man. My first ever t-ball coach. I started off playing t-ball, kind of grew into a basketball player, but my first ever t-ball coach turned 95 years old a couple months ago. We had a birthday party. He still walks around real slow now, but he still talks a lot of trash. Um, but those are the dudes that looked out for me. So um, Roman Watts started off at 109th Street Park, same park that dude named Andre Miller played at, who played in the league for a while. And so we played for a guy named Low Clark. Low Clark had been a Pac-12, well, Pac-8 back then, Pac-12 referee. He had been a pro athlete himself, and he decided that he was going to use the stuff that he had learned to help young dudes like me have a different life than what I would have probably normally had, right? Went from there. We moved to Linwood, which is right next to Compton. For those who don't know, started slowly moved out. Another coach was big time in my development. Football coach. Um, like you see stuff on TV, man, where you see, people talk about the wrong side of the track or the other side of the track. Like literally, my family and where I'm from, where I grew up, we were on one side of the tracks, and his family and where he was from was on the other side of the track. Like it wasn't supposed to work. Like like y'all use ops these days. Like where I was from, we were the ops of the side of the track that he was from, right? But it didn't matter. For him, it was like he really took the time to look out for me and help me develop. He had a young son, and we played together. We were on the same teams. He was my basketball coach. He was my football coach. His name was Joe McGill. But again, it was somebody who did more than what they had to do in order to help me get to where I was trying to go. So went to high school, Bellflower High School, which is down kind of in the Long Beach area. I was not I wasn't an all star. I wasn't a McDonald's All American. I wasn't any of that stuff. Like it just wasn't. It just wasn't it, right? I graduated high school when I was 16 years old. So when I graduated high school, I was 5'10", maybe 140 pounds, maybe. And my dream was to play basketball at UCLA. That was my dream. Like obviously, you had the NBA and all of that stuff. My dream was to play basketball at UCLA. And at 5'10", 140 pounds, that's probably that's probably unrealistic, right? So here's where my kind of talk starts. Don't ever let anybody diminish your dreams or your aspirations or what it is that you want to do in life. Don't let anybody, you don't want to surround yourself with people who, if you share your dream with them, they're going to try to talk you out of it and tell you can't do it. That's not your crew. It's not your people. So for me, I was 5'10", 140 pounds. I dreamed to play at UCLA. I wasn't recruited by any university, let alone UCLA. I had a high school coach I had a couple high school coaches actually who believed in me. Uh, I think they thought that I was crazy when I told them I wanted to play at UCLA or that I was going to play at UCLA, but they never diminished that dream. They never tried to talk me out of it. Um, John Downham, Tom Osborne, and they just kind of helped me continue to grow. I was a good student, and so I got into UCLA without basketball. So I went into UCLA. They were a year away from winning a national championship. The last time UCLA won a national championship was 1995. I know this is a long time ago. You guys are like, that's ancient. I graduated high school in 1996, so I walked into there the summer of 1996, trying to make a team that 2 years ago had just won a national championship. And I got my butt kicked every single day. Every single day I got my butt kicked in practice. So I had basically like a week tryout, got my butt kicked by a dude named Cameron Dollar every single day. I hated Cameron Dollar. Like there was no two ways about it. And so I didn't make the team. I got cut. So now I'm a 17-year-old freshman, and I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I was that close to being a walk-on at UCLA in my mind, but in reality, I was probably about that close from being a basketball player at UCLA. And I had decisions to make. So fast forward a couple months, I'm a freshman in college, and my oldest daughter is born. So now not only am I a 17-year-old freshman, I am a 17-year-old freshman with no basketball team, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do to reach my goal. And now I'm a 17-year-old father. Yep. Saw a mouth open. Right? So now it's bigger than me. It's not just about me anymore. Now I still got this dream I'm trying to chase, but it's just not about me anymore. Right? So plan is I'm gonna go play junior college for a year or two and then work myself back and get better and then try to get here. Well, long story short, I ended up in a situation where I get the opportunity to walk on at UC Irvine. Division I school, Big West. All right. It ain't UCLA, but I'm good. Right? Chance for me to be a D1 athlete, right? So that whole freshman year when I was going to school at UCLA, I was still living in Bellflower. It's probably an hour and a half drive one way because of traffic. So I lived in Bellflower, drove to UCLA every single day. And so went to class in the morning, drove back. I helped coach my high school team, and I worked out with the team every single day. Right? The dream was still to play basketball at UCLA. So I walk on at UC Irvine. Let me back up a little bit. UC Irvine, the year before I got there, was the worst team in Division I basketball. I'm not exaggerating. You can check it. The worst team in Division I basketball. They had won one game the year before, 1-25. So now I am a walk-on. For those who don't know what a walk-on is, that means you don't get a scholarship. You're paying to go to school, but you get to play on the basketball team. I am a walk-on the worst team in America. That's where my college career starts. And we weren't very good. But because we weren't very good, I got opportunity. So again, it's all about how you respond to stuff, right? Regardless of what career you decide you want to go into, regardless of what life throws at you. So I get cut from at UCLA. I could have stopped, shut it down, blamed everybody else. Coach don't know what he's doing. I didn't get a fair shot, this, that, and the other. I didn't, I just worked. My daughter was born later that year or months later. I could have shut it down. I got to get a job. I got to do this. Yeah, I got to work. I got to provide. Yes, I got to do that, but that doesn't mean that I got to stop chasing my goals and my dreams. And we get to Irvine, and I'm a walk on the worst team in America, and I'm not playing. Like, why would I keep going? You got to find out why you're going to keep pursuing whatever it is that you want to pursue. Right? I have my own reasons, but you got to find your reasons, and that's when the motivation fades, discipline has to kick in. Because at some point, the motivation stops. Why you started, you forget, and at some point, the discipline has to kick in. Right? So I'm at UC Irvine. I'm not really playing that much, but hey, I'm Division I player. I'm not necessarily happy, but I just keep working. We're playing San Diego State at home. It's the irony, right? San Diego State plays in the Final Four. Final Four this weekend. They were not that same San Diego State team. They weren't very good, and we weren't very good. And it was a close game, and it was a foul fest. I mean, everybody was just hacking. And so I'm sitting down on the bench, and I know, I'm counting down. And it's like I know I'm gonna get in before like two other dudes, and people are just fouling out on both teams, like left and right. Boom, boom, foul out. Fifth foul, got to come out. So we're going down the line, and in my mind I'm thinking, hey man, if one more person on our team fouls out, I'm going in the game. Like 2 minutes later, somebody on our team fouls out. Guess who goes in? Your boy. Your boy gets his shot, right? So, Disney movie, right? The walk on, been going through all of this stuff. Now I get my opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I got to do something, right? Dunk on somebody, throw a no-look dime, right? Hit the game-winning three, right? That's supposed to be the story. Close game. Somehow the ball finds me in the corner, and I take the shot. And I can't remember if it's to tie it or to win the game, but I take the shot. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, the Disney movie, right? I'm about to get paid. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna write a movie about this one. What do you think happened? I didn't airball. Come on, man. Give me some credit. I practiced. That's even worse than an airball. Not the side of the backboard, but I missed it. And we lost. Yeah. Yeah. Next day we come to practice, and I practiced harder than I had ever practiced in my life. Because on the drive home that night, I decided that if I was ever in that situation again, I wasn't gonna miss a shot. So I practiced as hard as I had ever practiced in my life. So now, our coach stops at the end of practice. He says, "Hey man, like, basically, I'm impressed by how you responded to what happened last night." So we go on the road. I play a lot the first game. Played in Northern Arizona. I played a lot the first game. I didn't start, but I played a lot. And then the second game on the road trip was at UNLV, right? UNLV, for those that don't know, was one of the best men's basketball programs in the country when I was in junior high school. UNLV, they were called the Running Rebels. They still are, but they used to play really fast. They were really good. Won national championships. And UNLV was the reason I had really fallen in love with college basketball, growing up watching them. So now we're playing at UNLV. I'm hyped, right? Well, now I get my first start. Kind of a full circle deal, right? So I go from being the walk-on who wasn't playing at all on the worst team in America to now I'm a starter at the place that kind of helped me fall in love with college basketball, right? So freshman year goes on. I end up having a pretty good freshman. I start the rest of the year. I have a pretty good freshman year. Sophomore year comes along. I think I'm the man, right? Go from being at the bottom, feel like I'm on top. Sophomore year, summertime, I don't work out as hard as I should. I feel like I've arrived to an extent, a little bit, to be honest. We come in the sophomore year, and it's a struggle. It really is. Now, I forgot a big part. When I get to UC Irvine, right? So I'm at UCLA. I hated Cameron Dollar. Cameron Dollar was the dude who kicked my butt every day. And in my mind, part of the reason I didn't make the team at UCLA. I walk in to the office at UC Irvine, and guess who's the assistant coach? Cameron Dollar. Cameron Dollar is the new assistant coach. So in my mind, I'm like, hey, this is the dude I can't stand. This is the dude that kicked my butt every single day. I want no parts of this dude. Cameron Dollar became my big brother. I just talked to Cameron Dollar for like an hour yesterday. Cameron Dollar walked me through the process of being a young dude with a dream to understanding the process that it takes to be a man that accomplishes things. And in reality, that's what a coach is all about. Taking you from where you are and getting you to understand, accept, and embrace the process to becoming what you say you want to be. And that wasn't just basketball. So Cameron Dollar is a Christian. I started the year, I wasn't playing at all. And then later my freshman year, I scored 25 against Long Beach State at the house and we win. So going as a freshman, going from not playing at all as a walk-on to scoring 25 points in a D1 game, you start feeling yourself a little bit. I'm glad we didn't have social media back then because I probably would have went super crazy. But you start feeling yourself a little bit. So I walk in the office and the first thing, I'll never forget, the first thing he asked me is, how's your walk going? And I said, oh, it's cool. Like, it wasn't a whole lot of people out on campus. So like, I just kind of cut through. And he was like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. He says, how's your walk in your faith going? He was more interested in me as a person because he knew that would be more long-term than anything I ever did on the basketball court. And that's what coach is. A good coach. So freshman year finishes. Cameron Dollar is there. He leaves after my freshman year. He head coaching job at an NAIA school. My sophomore year at Irvine it wasn't very good. Most of it was probably my fault. Again, I felt like I had arrived. I kind of knew it all. I had done this, done that. Communication with our head coach was bad. I transferred. This was before the transfer portal. So I transferred. And long story short, I was going to transfer to go play for Cameron. Cameron ends up leaving the place that he was. So now I'm kind of stuck, and I'm supposed to go back to UC Irvine. And I'll never forget it. He called one morning, he woke me up, and he said, hey, man, what's going on? And I said, man, just waking up, whatever. It was summertime. You know how I go. And he says, you can go back. And I said, I know, man. Like, I'm talking to the head coach at Irvine. I got a meeting in a couple of days to talk to him about going back to the team at Irvine. He said, no, I just got off the phone with Lab. You can go back to UCLA. So Steve Lavin was the head coach at the time. He's now the head coach at the University of San Diego. He said, no, I just got off the phone with Lab. You can go back to UCLA. So he gives me Lab's number. I talk to Lab. I go up the next day on campus. I was already at UCLA. It was an easy transfer back. So now I'm back at UCLA. So the 17-year-old kid who graduated high school at 16, 5'10", 140 pounds, going to the place that I dreamed about playing, and I got my butt handed to me for about a week 3 years before. And the dude who opened the door for me and helped me was the guy who I hated because he just did what he was supposed to do, right? So I go back to UCLA. I was at UCLA for 2 years. I was part of 2 Sweet 16 teams. My senior year, we lost to Duke, who ended up winning the national championship that year. They had dudes like Jay Williams, who ended up getting in a motorcycle accident and not being, I think he might have been the number 1 pick in the draft, maybe top 2 or 3. Dude named Carlos Boozer, Mike Dunleavy Jr. They had Shane Battier. They were loaded. Played with a dude named Matt Barnes at UCLA. Yeah, right. Earl Watson, Jason Capono, who played for the Miami Heat and won a world championship with Shaq. Jerome Moiso, who was a lottery pick. Dan Gazuric, first round pick. I got a chance to play with all these guys. I got a chance to live my dream. And so when it was time for me to kind of decide about what I wanted to do in life, I started thinking back about all those guys who had helped me along the way. They didn't have to. They didn't need to. They didn't get paid a whole lot of money to do it. But if it wasn't for those dudes, if it wasn't for Lo Clark, if it wasn't for Joe McGill, if it wasn't for Tom Osborne, John Downham, Cameron Dollar, among others, there's no way that I would have been able to experience the things that I experienced, including living my dream of playing basketball at UCLA. So I forgot this part. I was on scholarship at Irvine. I ended up earning a scholarship my second year. I left the scholarship at Irvine to go walk on to be a walk on again at UCLA. That was my dream. I had done it before. I can do it again. So my first year I had the red shirt because I had transferred twice. So I redshirted and I lost that year. The second year we started off and we were struggling. So my senior year we were struggling. Literally the day before we're leaving to go to Purdue, mom's job gets robbed and she gets held up at gunpoint. So I don't go to practice. That deal plays out. It's funny. It's crazy how things work sometimes. So I don't go to practice. I miss practice. Let's say it was a Thursday practice. I missed Thursday practice. So Friday we fly out. We go to Purdue. We walk in. Now again, I'm a walk on. Like I'm hardly playing at all. So I go from starting and scoring points at Irvine to being a walk on and hardly playing at UCLA. We go to Purdue. We walk in right before the game, and my name is on the board as a starter. What? Out of the blue. Like there was no literally like I didn't go to practice the day before. So we were struggling at the time. And I'm gonna tell you one thing that I did that helped us. Derek kind of talked about it earlier in a different capacity. All I did was go hard. All I did was give effort. All I did was care about winning. That's all I did. I played really hard. That was my job. I might have taken 2 shots a game at UCLA, maybe. My job was to play really hard. My job was to do the stuff that it took to help win basketball games. My job was to rotate and take charges. My job was to dive on loose balls. My job was to pressure the hell out of the basketball, to disrupt the offense. Like that was my job. I think we ended up winning like 6 or 7 straight. We ended up, so I ended up starting for a stretch like 10 games. We ended up winning like 6 or 7 straight. We went like 8-2. Um, we ended up being like 8-2 as when I started games. And then we go to Stanford. Stanford's #1 in the country. I lost the night before at Cal. We got upset. We're done. We got upset. They stormed the crowd. We go to Stanford, and Stanford's #1 in the country. You guys are too young to understand this, but Bill Clinton was the president at the time. His daughter went to Stanford, Chelsea Clinton. She's in the stands. Like literally, the president's daughter is front row in the stands, right? We go in there and we pop Stanford at Stanford. We beat them on their home floor when they're #1 in the country. I didn't play a second. I went from starting the night before to the very next game, not playing a second, and we won at Stanford. I'm in the locker room. The reporter comes up to me, and what do you think? The first thing the reporter asked me, "Yep, how you feel about not playing?" I looked at him and laughed. He said, "We just beat the #1 team in the country on their home floor. I feel great." And I wasn't lying. I know in today's society, everything is about me. Me. I am here to tell you from my journey, regardless of what career path you travel on. If you are willing to do what it takes to help other people, you are going to get way more out of this life than if you just go at it and look out for yourself. So that's my story. That's why I coach, because people cared and wanted to give more to me than they did looking out for themselves. And because of that, me and a lot of other dudes like me are in places that we didn't think we'd ever be. So, whatever it is that you decide to do in life, whether it's basketball, whether it's anything else, whether it's being parents, if you focus on other people and you focus on helping other people be great, you are going to get paid tenfold coming back on the other end. So I know y'all got to go. I appreciate y'all time.